They told men to chase success, numbers, assets, recognition. But no one warned them what happens after they catch it. Because the quiet truth is this: most men don't want luxury. They want peace. They want mornings without alarms, evenings without pressure, and a life that doesn't collapse when they stop running. Many single men know this too well. He's worked hard, built himself from nothing, and reached a point where silence feels safer than applause. He learned that success feels lighter when there's no one left to impress, only himself to understand. He's not chasing more anymore. He's chasing clarity. For a man who walks alone, clarity isn't a luxury, it's survival. He doesn't need millions to feel free. For most men, 500,000 handled with sense is enough to build peace for life. He's chasing the kind of freedom that doesn't come from wealth, but from knowing he finally has enough. Charlie Munger once said, "True wisdom isn't about being brilliant. It's about avoiding the avoidable." And that, my friends, is the highest form of Stoicism, discipline disguised as wisdom. When comfort becomes a cage. He didn't notice when it happened. At first, comfort felt like victory, a well-earned reward after years of proving himself. The quiet apartment, the car that started every morning, the routine that needed no effort. Everything finally worked. But did it really? Or did it just stop demanding growth? Until one day he realized he wasn't working anymore. He was maintaining. That's how comfort traps men. It doesn't come with walls or chains. It comes with soft habits that whisper, "You've done enough." And those whispers, repeated long enough, become a lullaby that kills direction. Most men don't lose their edge in failure. They lose it in routine. They build lives so stable that they stop growing. The man who once built storms now lives under perfect skies and feels nothing. And the world praises them for it. Steady income, clean apartment, predictable calendar. But deep down, a quiet voice asks, "Is this all?" Comfort teaches you to survive, not to evolve. It makes life easier to manage but harder to feel. The same chair, the same morning coffee, the same screen glow at night. Everything familiar, yet nothing alive. Men mistake that calm for stillness, but it's not stillness. It's pause. The kind of pause that stretches for years until you forget you ever had motion. Many single men fall into this silent pattern. They tell themselves they have escaped the noise, the arguments, the expectations, the pressure to please. He lives alone, yet the silence he once craved has turned into a mirror he can't look away from. Solitude isn't a flaw. It's a mirror that eventually shows you peace. But solitude without growth becomes isolation. And isolation dressed as independence slowly drains purpose. There's nothing wrong with a quiet life. But when comfort becomes your compass, you stop sailing. You drift. Here's the turn most men miss. Stillness feels safe until it starts to erase you. And drifting always feels gentle until you realize the current isn't yours anymore. He used to think success meant reaching calm waters. Now he knows the point was never to reach them, but to keep rowing with clarity even when the waves disappear. Behind doing what's uncomfortable. Comfort is sweet because it asks for nothing. But freedom, real freedom, demands awareness. And clarity always asks for action. So the next time life feels easy, ask yourself, is it peace or have you just stopped moving? Because comfort never ends with rest. It ends with wanting more. That's why even with a full bank account, many men still feel poor. They never defined what enough means. The hidden cost of more. Ever notice how upgrades come with passwords, payments, and pressure? What if more is just maintenance with better lighting? Every man believes he wants more until he gets it, Because more never feels like arrival. It feels like maintenance. It demands attention, energy, and the constant fear of losing what you've built. Men are taught to chase upgrades, a bigger house, a newer car, a louder title. They call it progress, but it's often exhaustion disguised as success. Every step upward brings new weight, higher bills, longer hours, fewer choices. The ladder doesn't take you higher, it just changes the view of the maze. If that line hit you, pause for a second. Tell me what part of your life it just described. And if you've felt that quiet truth before, give this video a like. It helps this message reach the men who need it. There's a reason many single men end up quieter as they grow older. They've seen what more does to peace. They've watched people turn ambition into anxiety and success into something they must defend every single day. They weren't greedy, just tired of proving themselves to a world that never said enough. What about you? Do you still call it ambition, or have you started calling it noise? The truth is, more is never satisfied. It grows like a shadow, always a few steps ahead, no matter how fast you move. You reach one milestone and it whispers, you can do better. You hit a new income and it murmurs, now you need the lifestyle to match. You start living to feed an image that doesn't even feel like you anymore. A man can have $500,000 and live calm, or 10 million and never sleep. It's not the number, it's the noise attached to it. There's a hidden cost to all that noise. Clarity. Every unnecessary upgrade steals a piece of it. The more you acquire, the more decisions you must manage. The more decisions you make, the less energy you have left for meaning. And eventually you confuse fatigue for purpose. He used to think chasing more meant ambition. Now he sees it for what it really is, a trade, peace for performance. He doesn't need to prove anything anymore. Silence becomes wealth when you finally stop explaining yourself. Not to the world, not to his past, not even to the mirror. More was never the goal. It was just a distraction from what was already enough. And once a man learns that, he stops chasing speed and starts building stability. Because a man who knows how to live with less can walk through any storm with calm eyes. He's not broke, he's free. But once you stop chasing more, the question appears, what's truly enough to live free? Pause for a second. What if your next step isn't forward, but smaller, lighter, simpler? The mathematics of freedom. For most men, more doesn't just drain peace, it blurs vision. The numbers grow, but the purpose fades. At some point, every man asks the same question: how much is enough? Not enough to impress, not enough to boast, but enough to live without fear. Charlie once said, the goal isn't to get rich, it's to stay rational long enough for wealth to compound. That's not just financial advice, that's survival wisdom. Because money doesn't create peace. It only amplifies what's already inside you. A man with discipline can turn $500,000 into a lifetime of calm. A man without it can burn 10 million trying to feel worthy. That's the quiet math of life, the equation no one teaches you. Here's how it works. 500,000 swallers placed with patience, earning 5 to 9% a year, can create a steady income, enough to live simply, travel when you wish, and never owe another soul your sanity again. Even Marcus Aurelius knew this truth. Wealth measured without restraint becomes slavery in disguise. Freedom only compounds when desire stops growing faster than discipline. That is roughly $20,000 a year, the classic 4% rule of financial freedom. Enough for a modest, peaceful life when your spending matches your calm. But the real math isn't in the numbers. It's in learning how much clarity you're willing to trade for comfort. For single men, stability multiplies faster. Fewer mouths to feed, fewer illusions to maintain. Think of it as your peace fund, not your bragging fund. It's not luxury, it's liberation. Because the number isn't the goal, the clarity is. Most men overcomplicate freedom. They chase volatile markets, new tech, and endless opportunities. But wealth, like wisdom, grows through boredom, through years of saying no to excitement and yes to consistency. Sounds boring, but that's the quiet part where real peace starts. You don't need luck, you need restraint. And yet it's not easy. Saying no to excitement in a world that worships speed takes quiet courage. You don't need the next big thing. You need to stop breaking what's already working. That's the paradox. The less you move, the faster peace compounds. You don't earn freedom by chasing it. You earn it by holding still long enough for time to reward you. That's what Charlie meant by rational. Rational men don't worship returns. They worship stability. They don't count followers. They count quiet mornings. Time, the quiet investor that never rushes, rewards the man who stays steady. Because the longer you stay calm, the more life multiplies in your favor. Sounds simple, but that's the line most men never cross. From reacting to realizing. Freedom isn't built through cleverness, it's built through patience. And patience is just discipline stretched over time. When you see it that way, 500,000 isn't a dream. It's just math. The kind of math that finally gives a man his mind back. Define your enough number, expenses times 20. Automate investing, ignore daily price noise. One rule, don't interrupt compounding. But few men can handle that kind of stillness. They confuse boredom with failure. Most men can't sit still long enough to let the math work. The power of boring. In chasing more, most men lose what built it: patience. I once met a man who made millions selling noise, but lost himself the day he tried to buy silence. The hardest lesson a man ever learns is that boredom is not the enemy. It's the sign that he's finally stable enough to think clearly. The world glorifies excitement, new projects, fast money, constant movement. But excitement is expensive. It drains patience, fuels mistakes, and keeps a man from seeing what truly compounds in silence. Charlie and men like him understood that ordinary habits build extraordinary results. Boring routines, saving a portion, ignoring the noise, letting time do its work, these are the foundations of peace disguised as dullness. The mind craves stimulation, but wealth and wisdom both demand stillness. Most men fail not because they're reckless, but because they can't sit still when the world gets quiet. Especially the ones who live alone. They mistake calm for emptiness, not knowing it's the soil where peace grows. They open new tabs, buy new things, chase new feelings. They call it progress, but it's just motion without direction. Have you ever noticed that the quieter your life gets, the louder your clarity becomes? He used to trade every week. Now he checks once a month and sleeps better than when he made double. That's the strange dividend of patience. Peace pays higher than profit ever could. A man who learns to love repetition becomes unstoppable. He doesn't need constant novelty to feel alive. He understands that consistency is not monotony, it's mastery. The market, the body, the mind, they all reward the same discipline, the ability to do the right thing again and again, even when it feels small. People talk about investing money, but the real investment is in temperament. When your habits become steady enough to be called boring, that's when compounding begins to work in your favor. He used to think peace required excitement. Now he sees the opposite. Excitement drains energy. Boredom builds it back. Stillness recharges the man who used to chase storms. Boredom isn't emptiness, it's space, where peace has room to grow. Because in the end, what looks boring from the outside is often the quiet machinery of freedom, working perfectly within. But boredom only works when a man knows what enough truly means. Why enough is the ultimate power move. What if enough is a decision, not a number? What if the finish line isn't ahead of you, but a line you draw today? Most men spend their whole lives trying to cross an invisible finish line. They keep running even when they don't know what race they're in. Every new goal promises peace, yet every victory feels temporary. Because satisfaction doesn't come from reaching more. It comes from redefining enough. Enough is not a number. It's a decision. It's the moment a man stops negotiating his peace with the world, when he stops measuring life by how others see him and starts measuring it by how calm his mind feels when no one is watching. The modern world hates that word. It can't sell it. It can't market it. Enough doesn't trend. But that's why it's powerful. Because once you know what enough means for you, no one can control you anymore. A man who knows enough doesn't need to prove his worth through excess. He spends less energy chasing, more time choosing. He can say no without guilt, yes without fear. That's not emotionless. It's efficiency in disguise. That's not weakness. That's sovereignty. Many single men discover this truth quietly. After years of chasing validation through work, wealth, or relationships, they wake up one morning realizing peace isn't found in addition, it's found in subtraction. Stillness doesn't announce itself. It arrives when noise can no longer reach you. In clearing the clutter, the debts, the noise, until life becomes light enough to breathe again. The world rewards ambition, but it rarely celebrates wisdom. And wisdom says, a calm man with enough is more dangerous than a desperate man with millions. Because desperation can be bought, calm cannot. He no longer asks, how much can I get? He asks, how little do I need to stay free? And in that single question, he finds the freedom most men spend their whole lives chasing. If this message speaks your language, share it with someone who's walking the same road. And if you want more moments like this, subscribe, not for noise, but for quiet strength every week. What would your life look like if you decided you already had enough? That's why enough isn't surrender. It's strategy. It's the quiet power move that separates the man who owns his life from the man whose life still owns him. And discipline, the quiet guardian of enough, is what keeps that freedom alive. Let's pause for a second. You've heard 3 truths already. Comfort can trap you, more can drain you, and enough can free you. Now let's talk about the one thing that keeps all 3 alive: discipline. You don't have to agree with every word. Just notice which part of your life it's quietly describing. Because in the end, enough isn't surrender. It's how a man reclaims his power from noise. Discipline, the quiet guardian of freedom. Every man dreams of freedom. But freedom without discipline is just another form of chaos. A life that looks unchained, yet collapses under its own weight. He learned this the hard way. Freedom feels empty until you learn to hold it with discipline. The truth is simple. Discipline keeps peace alive. Without it, peace is temporary, wealth is fragile, and every calm day becomes a countdown to the next mistake. Men love to talk about strategy, opportunity, timing. But none of that matters if you can't control yourself. A man who can't say no when he should will spend the rest of his life apologizing to consequences. It's harder when you have no one to remind you. When you live alone, discipline must become your companion. Discipline isn't about punishment. It's protection. It guards your time, your focus, your sanity. It's the invisible wall between your peace and the world's temptations. When a man learns to keep promises to himself, he becomes untouchable. Not because life gets easier, but because his reactions get quieter. Charlie once said, "You don't need to be brilliant. You just need to avoid stupidity for a lifetime." That's discipline. It's not about doing everything right. It's about refusing to repeat what destroys you. Most men think freedom means doing whatever they want. In reality, it means mastering the few things that truly matter and ignoring everything else. When you stay calm while the world panics, you're already richer than the crowd chasing the next trend. Self-command is quiet power. It doesn't shout, it doesn't boast. It simply repeats what works until the world starts mistaking your peace for luck. Some days you'll fail it. That's fine. Discipline isn't perfection. It's returning after you slip. There was a time he chased motivation. Now he builds systems. He no longer asks, "How do I feel today?" He asks, "What needs to be done?" Because a man led by feelings will always lose to the one led by discipline. Peace isn't found in doing more. It's found in doing less, but doing it every single day. Calm is the reward discipline quietly builds. And that's how a man keeps his freedom long after the excitement fades. And the dividend of discipline? Peace. Peace is the real dividend. Every man begins a chase believing money will buy peace. He works, he saves, he climbs, until one day he owns everything except his own mind. That's when he learns the truth. Peace isn't purchased. It's earned through how you behave when no one is watching. Charlie once said that the market rewards patience, not brilliance. The same law applies to life. Calm isn't a gift from fortune. It's interest paid on discipline. The more consistent your behavior, the more peace you accumulate. Slowly, quietly, compounding like time itself. $500,000 can buy you space, but only a calm mind can make that space feel like freedom. Without peace, even wealth becomes another job. You're rich on paper, but bankrupt in rest. You lie awake at night, trying to calculate the value of something that can't be measured. Silence. Most single men understand this earlier than others. They've lived through loneliness long enough to know that solitude isn't the enemy. It's training for inner control. They learn to enjoy their own company, to find stability not in applause but in clarity. And once you reach that stage, peace becomes less of a goal and more of a baseline. Peace doesn't mean life stops testing you. It means the tests stop owning you. It's the quiet confidence of knowing you can lose money, status, or approval and still wake up unshaken. Peace doesn't shout. It simply arrives when you stop arguing with life. That's the dividend no stock or strategy can match. The return on peace compounds faster than any portfolio, because the man who sleeps well has already outperformed everyone still chasing more. Because peace grows stronger only when you stop fighting what's beyond your control. If that line felt like release, write one word in the comments: peace. It helps others find this message when they need it most. He sits at his desk at midnight, charts closed, finally realizing peace doesn't come from the screen, but from stepping away. The illusion of control. For most of his life, he believed peace would come the moment everything finally went his way. The right job, the right timing, the right people acting the way he hoped they would. But peace never arrived, because control never lasts. A man spends years trying to manage the uncontrollable, what others think, how the future unfolds, how the past could have been different. He calls it responsibility, But it's really exhaustion disguised as effort. The harder he grips life, the faster it slips through his fingers. The truth is simple and brutal. You can't control anything outside your own behavior. Not the market, not the woman who left, not the mistakes already done. You've already survived worse. This time, you just have to let go faster. You can only control the man who shows up today. Every attempt to dominate what isn't yours becomes a kind of slavery. You wake up monitoring the world instead of mastering yourself. And that's why modern men, even with wealth and freedom, still feel trapped, because they're addicted to prediction, to certainty, to knowing what comes next. But life doesn't reward control. It rewards clarity. Clarity accepts that the world will twist, people will change, and tomorrow will do what it wants. You stop fighting the current and start using it. You learn to move with time instead of wrestling it. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength that's not poetry. It's survival instruction. When a man stops trying to fix what isn't his, he reclaims the energy to build what is. Peace begins the moment you surrender the illusion of control. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. Because the world doesn't need your management, it needs your presence. He no longer spends his days replaying the past or rehearsing the future. He knows peace lives only where control ends, in the small space between what happens and how he chooses to respond. That's where power truly hides, not in forcing the world to obey, but in staying calm while it doesn't. Some burdens are given, others we choose. The weight you choose. Every man carries something. Some burdens are given to him: duty, loss, responsibility. For single men, this weight often hides in silence. The quiet expectation to carry life alone, to fix what no one else will. But the heaviest ones are the ones he picks up himself. The need to be perfect, the need to be the hero, the quiet belief that if he stops holding everything together, the world will fall apart. He tells himself it's strength, but often it's pride wearing armor. He says he's protecting others, but deep down, he's protecting his image. The man who never fails, never asks, never breaks. And that image becomes a prison made of praise. The stronger he tries to appear, the weaker he becomes inside. Perfectionism isn't discipline. It's control dressed as virtue. It's the endless tension between I must do more and I'm not enough. It steals rest, it kills creativity, and it convinces men that peace must always be earned through exhaustion. He doesn't realize that every time that he refuses help, he's teaching the world to depend on his suffering. He calls it independence, but sometimes it's just fear of being seen needing anything. And suffering, once praised, becomes identity. Soon he's not living, he's performing endurance. You don't have to prove you're strong to be strong. True strength isn't carrying everything, it's knowing what to put down. The man who learns to drop the unnecessary weight doesn't lose power. He regains clarity. Because clarity isn't found in control, it's found in surrender. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. A burden only hurts when you believe it defines you. You can work hard without being haunted. You can care deeply without collapsing. You can lead without losing yourself. The man who stops trying to be the hero finally becomes human. And strangely, that's when he becomes free. He no longer carries every wound as proof of his worth. He doesn't need to win every battle or fix every broken thing. He just walks lighter. Tell me, what's the one weight you're still carrying? And in that lightness, a man walking alone discovers something sacred. That solitude was never a punishment. It was training for peace. Not because the world is easier, but because he finally stopped lifting what was never his to hold. Because peace was never meant to be lonely. It was meant to be shared, even if only through the quiet good you do each day. When you put the weight down, the quiet finally has room to speak. Peace isn't isolation. It's preparation to return to the world with clarity. The quiet game. In the end, life isn't a war to be won. It's a quiet game, one played not with noise or speed, but with patience, presence, and restraint. He used to think peace was something to chase, something waiting at the top of a mountain or on the other side of success. But now he understands. Peace was never hiding. It was simply waiting for him to stop running. The older he gets, the more he realizes how little he needs to prove. He doesn't argue to be understood anymore. He doesn't rush to fix what time will heal. He simply observes and lets things unfold. There's a strange kind of wealth in that stillness. Mornings taste different. Coffee feels like gratitude instead of fuel. Work feels lighter when it's no longer proof of worth. Even loneliness begins to soften, not as something missing, but as space for quiet joy to grow. That's when you realize peace isn't a destination, it's a texture of life itself. He no longer fears silence. He wears it like a well-tailored suit, a sign not of absence but arrival. Because the man who learns to stay silent is no longer hiding. He's resting in truth. And that's the final move no one tells you about. When you stop competing, comparing, explaining, the world doesn't shrink, it expands. He used to think freedom meant doing everything. Now he knows it means needing less. He used to see stillness as the end of ambition. Now he sees it as the reward of wisdom. So he sits a little longer, talks a little softer, walks a little slower. Not because he's lost the fire, but because he finally knows how to carry it without burning himself. That's the quiet game. 500,000 buys comfort, but wisdom that buys stillness. You win it the moment you stop trying to play. If this message spoke to you, not just about money, but about the kind of peace a man builds when his days are quiet and his choices are his own, then you already understand what the space is about. Move or Die Stoic isn't a brand. It's a brotherhood for men who walk alone, men who carry their silence with pride, who have learned that solitude isn't emptiness, it's clarity. Here, we don't chase noise. We build stillness. We don't escape the world. We rise above it. If your road has been quiet for a while, you're not lost. You're rebuilding. Subscribe, join the community, and share the space with men who no longer fear being unseen because they've learned how to see themselves. And if you've watched this far, you already know peace isn't a theory here, it's practice. If this voice keeps you steady, let it stay with you. Stay clear, stay grounded, and never owe anyone the right to disturb your peace again. And if this voice reminds you that peace still exists in a noisy world, then we've already walked this road together. Thank you for walking this road with us. Until next time, move or die Stoic.